Hey there, welcome to your 2 minute vinyl review. I'm your host, Sam the Record Man with King Anthrax here, my co pilot, and we are Vinyl Junkies. Today we're going to go jazz and talk to you about Run Out Groove's next release, which will be some really great 50s jazz from Sonny Stitt, fantastic alto and tenor sax man. Recorded during the 50s, 52 to 57, mono, original master tapes used, and as splendiferous as you want it to sound on vinyl as you can possibly ask for. So, a little bit of background. Why does this count? Who is Sonny Stitt? Of course, a lot of you know, but just to give you an idea, the good and the bad is that he was born into a musical family for one reason or another, was given up for adoption, and instead of using his original family's name, he used his adopted family's names. But his original family, his born family, were all musicians. He came up in that, and as he started getting gigs, he eventually ran into Charlie Parker, who he absolutely idolized. So here's where I get to the good bad part of Sonny Stitt, to which he saw Charlie Parker coming out of a drugstore, no less. See Anthrax, he's bored, and wearing an overcoat with 6 white buttons, and starts going off on him and telling him how much he loves what he does. And Charlie Parker invites him to a jam session. So they jam together, at which the end of the jam session, Parker goes to him, "Hey, you sound just like me." To which Sonny Stitt answered, "Yeah, you sound just like me." They had a big laugh, they shook hands, ha 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 ha. They went and get themselves a pork soda. Everything's beautiful. Now, you know the musicians, right? Everybody talks about who rips off this and who rips off that. This was also the case back in the 40s and in the 50s. Okay, so the similarities are there when you listen to Charlie Parker and Sonny Stitt. Okay, so much so that it led some people to go out and say that he was a direct ripoff of Charlie Parker, as many people did. Same instrument, and he was able to go on the same long run of notes. And he also had a heroin addiction, should I say. Sonny Stitt did. So from that, there was this idea also of musicians going so far as to get hooked up on drugs in order to sound like Bird. I'm pretty sure that Sonny Stitt was specifically mentioned when it comes to that. Charlie Parker, not Charlie Parker, but Charles Mingus at one point said about that, their similarity to sound. If Charlie Parker was a gunslinger, there'd be a whole lot of dead cowboys in town. Just kind of like referencing how many people just copped Charlie Parker. Think of Eddie Van Halen, man, when he came out with Eruption, and how every guitarist lost their marbles and had to learn Eruption. That became the standard. Okay, so that's the case. Now, Sonny Stitt, like I said, blessing, curse. Okay, blessing because, listen, he sounded really great, and he had Charlie Parker's chops, and he would have happened whether Charlie Parker was there or not. But Charlie Parker was notoriously unreliable, always strung out, his instrument always elsewhere in pawn shops and stuff. So, guys would eventually get fed up of him. People like Dizzy Gillespie and Thelonious Monk, and just names aren't coming to me right now, but instead of, working with Bird, Dizzy Gillespie hired Sonny Stitt to replace him on those tours. So you can kind of see where that's there. A lot of alto stuff happens on this album, so you will definitely hear the Charlie Parker influence. Like I said, 52, 57 is what you're looking at. Where it is that Sonny Stitt really developed his signature more is when he started taking up the tenor. And again, they dogged them with saying, "Oh, well, this sounds exactly like Charlie Parker, but it's just played on tenor rather than alto." So that kind of dogged them until way later. Why don't we know about these Roost recordings? Because they're inferior? No, that's got nothing to do with it at all. Actually, most of these recordings are small band settings, okay? And Roost simply didn't have the budget of the Verves and, the Blue Notes and Riversides and all the bigger labels, Prestige. So it's stuff that didn't get that type of promo. But if you listen to it, man, it's top end. As a matter of fact, if anything, those who know stuff like the early bebop, some of it sounds pretty badly recorded. This here, the original master tapes were used, and it sounds fantastic. Okay, it's what you want vinyl to sound like. No colors, it's black there. Extensive liner notes. I'm gonna get the jacket so that I can show you a little bit more. If this kind of makes you think, hey, it looks like a Blue Note record, you would be correct, because that picture was taken by Francis Wolff, who shot a lot of those legendary Blue Note covers. You'll notice a great deal of liner notes, and it's really, I would say, one of the cornerstones of sax, or one of the cornerstones of bebop, post-bop, if you want to kind of get deeper into that. Very, very highly recommended. Everything you'd expect. So that's your 2-minute plus review. Do you like it? Subscribe. It makes a difference. And we'll come back. You guys will suggest what else we should talk about. Name me some jazz albums that you dig. And Sam the Record Man out. Boom.